I've been in the online info space since 2020, and I wish I've seen this video back then, because it would have saved me so much time and money learning all of this stuff the hard way through so many mistakes, failures, and just general experience. I just hope that at least one of you watching this video can watch it until the very end and at least implement one thing that I'm going to be talking about, because it can literally add 5, if not even 6 figures to your bank balance by the end of the year. So with that being said, let's get started. The first tactic is really simple, and that is to be just an expert in your field. And here's the key. That field has to be super focused, and in other words, niche down as much as you can. Say for example, one day you've clogged up the toilet and the water doesn't flush for whatever reason. So you go onto Google and you start looking for plumbers, and you find 2. One that is a general plumber, and in other words, jack of all trades and a master of none. And the second one who only fixes toilets and nothing else. Well, my question to you is, who are you going to call? Of course you're going to call the second one. Matter of fact, I would argue that most of us will not only call the second one first, but will also pay more money for his services, because that is all he does. So therefore, we know that the likelihood of our toilet getting fixed is just so much higher if we go with him. And that is exactly what I did with my business. See, back when I was coaching people on how to start selling on Amazon FBA, I could have done just that and just teach anyone who wants to sell on Amazon. But instead, luckily, completely by accident, I targeted only the people in the UK who wanted to create their own line of private label products on Amazon. And because of this very simple strategy, 3 things happened. First, I had to turn down a lot of people because they were either outside from the UK or they just didn't have the right strategy or budget in place to get started. Second, I was becoming the go-to person in my field, as there weren't that many people in my specific market. And then third, I was able to charge much higher prices because that was all I did. That was all I was speaking about, and that's where my clients' results came from. So think about it, just by niching down, you get to charge higher prices, stand out from the rest of the competition, and get better results from your clients. All right, so my next strategy that I've developed is very recent, but it's so powerful that it probably lost me over 6 figures last year alone by just not having it in place. See, when we think of marketing, we think of TV ads and radio ads, newspaper ads, and if you're a millennial or above, then you might think of Google or Facebook ads. But do you know what has the best conversion rates of all time? And this statistic, in my opinion, will never change. Referrals. It is statistically proven that we will trust our friends' recommendations more so than anything we have seen on the internet or watching the TV. Well, then the question is, how do we get people to refer to our services? And in my experience, this can be done in 2 ways. First, we provide amazing service so people start talking about you. Say for example, you're a personal trainer and your client has lost 20 kilos in the last few months. Well, the reality is people are bound to start noticing and ask questions. And then the second way, and it's way more effective in my opinion, is just by implementing a referral program. In other words, what you need to do is give people a percentage of each sale that the person has referred you. For example, very recently I paid out £2,500 to a lovely lady who referred me a client that did over £10,000 worth of business with me. Now, think about it. £2,500 just for making an introduction and putting in a good word. Matter of fact, she even told me that it was more than she was making a month at her current job, and she was now determined to get me even more clients. In other words, what I'm trying to say is this: let's not be greedy and think of a win-win situation for everyone. Now, this next one is a strategy that I personally have never used before, but it has worked on me from time to time over and over again. And therefore I told myself it will be my #1 focus of doing more in 2025. Kinda like a New Year's resolution, but one that I'm going to try my hardest to actually stick to. In other words, I'm talking about collaborations. And in my opinion, honestly, it's kind of like a cheat code to expanding your audience 10 times faster in 2025. And this is why you have all of these people doing all of these podcasts all of the time, because they get seen by all of these fresh new audiences who have never heard of them before. Take me, for example. I found out about Alex Hormozi from his podcast on Chris Williamson. I liked what he was talking about and what he had to say, so I started consuming some of his own YouTube content. Then once I got to learn more about him from his YouTube content, I bought both of his books and actually read them. And given the fact that I don't really read, this is a big thing for me, by the way. And after that, I actually saw that they were doing workshops. So after a $5,000 ticket and a 9-hour flight to Vegas, I got to meet him in person. But going all the way back, none of this would have happened if it wasn't for that podcast appearance on Chris Williamson that I just accidentally stumbled upon. So if it worked for Alex Hormozi and countless other influencers, why can't it work for you and me? All right, so this next strategy is very effective, but only if you have the time and the resources. And it is the one that can actually get your revenue to jump off from zero to £20,000 per month and more if you just put in the time and focus on it. And that is just by creating a free community. Say you are a personal trainer who listened to my advice and therefore you specialize in working with women who want to lose weight after giving birth. But for some reason you are struggling to get clients, so what you do is you decide to create a free community instead. And given that community is literally free and your viewers have absolutely nothing to lose, all of a sudden you start getting people to join. And like with many things in life, things start slow, but they will eventually pick up. Now, let's say you spend an hour a day helping these women out with their questions about how to get back into shape that they have been in before they got pregnant. You know, you start sharing things like diet tips, give some workout advice, and maybe just encourage them from time to time. I bet you with so much value provided on a daily basis, some of these women will at least buy your low ticket offer if they see that you know what you're talking about and you're willing to help. See, the only problem that I see with these free communities though is that there will be a lot of people specifically coming in for free advice with no intention to pay for anything, ever. But just like with everything in life, you have to take the good with the bad, I guess. And thinking about it, I still think it's better than just cold calling all day and not having any clients. All right, so this next tactic I want to talk about, I only started this year, but in other words, literally like a couple of weeks ago, but it has already made me an extra £25,000 in additional revenue. See, when we offer our services, we should always offer the service in 3 layers. Do it yourself, done with you, and then done for you. So let me break down each one and what do they actually mean. Do it yourself. Well, that for example could be a course or a group coaching program, or let's say a paid community. This is where we provide all of the resources and the information, but the client has to do the work themselves. Then we have the done with you. Now, this is similar to the option 1, but we have one-to-one contact with our clients. We look over their progress, tell them what needs to be changed, and by doing that, their chances of success is much higher. And then we have the done for you service, which essentially means you, the coach, do the work for your client, and it makes it super easy for them to get the results that they want. And for me personally, it was the addition of the done for you service that made all of the difference. Because as you can imagine, from a price point perspective, a done for you service is by far going to be the most expensive one. So how could this work in a real world example? Well, let's say you're an AI consultant who specializes in making businesses more efficient using AI. Well, do-it-yourself service could be a course on how to incorporate various AI tools in your business. And that could be anything from $499 to £999. Then you have the done with you service, and this is where you can have monthly consultation calls and maybe train up the rest of the business on AI. And this could be, in my opinion, anything from $2,999 all the way up to 10 grand, depending on the size of the business. And then we have the done for you service. And this is where essentially you would go into the business and upgrade their systems and teach the staff on how to use them. And I mean, with that type of a commitment, £10,000 would be the very minimum that I would charge. So maybe this is something for you to think about next. Can you potentially create a done for you service? Now, I'll be honest, speaking about all of these tactics really makes me upset, because if I only knew how effective these things were, I would have made 5, if not 10 times more money by now. But the tactic that I regret not using the most is email marketing. I know you may be thinking, what, email marketing? It's not 2010 anymore. But just because you don't read or buy from your emails does not mean that your audience doesn't. See, algorithms may change next month and you may become irrelevant. But if you at least have your audience's email address, you will always have a way to reach out to them. And I said it before and I'll say it again. Emails convert 5 times better than any other social media platform. And yes, that also includes things like YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So trust me, next time you want to launch your offer, you wish you would have had an email list full of engaged subscribers ready to buy. Now, this next strategy I want to talk about actually has got nothing to do with sales, which is weird because most of the videos you will always come across about how to charge high ticket prices and how to land your dream clients. But the one thing that none of us talk about enough is how to provide excellent customer service, get results, and keep those clients happy. Now, this is a very difficult thing to describe because each niche is quite different, but the good old saying, treat others how you'd like to be treated, really applies here. In other words, maybe provide daily or weekly updates if you are doing a done-for-you service. Maybe check in on them every now and then every single week to make sure that they're accountable and working together with you. And of course, never forget to stay in touch to see if there's anything you can do for them if they just bought your course or a group coaching program. See, people like to feel important and looked after, and if they get that feeling from you, it will go a very long way for your business. See, that way, getting new clients will become easier, keeping the current ones will be a breeze, and you can continue increasing your prices, as you are literally one of those select few coaches that actually cares about your clients as opposed to just running away the second that they get paid. Now, you may think I'm biased about this next one since I'm in the info space and I provide consultancy services for content creators. But please guys, invest in your education. It will almost always be the best investment you will ever make. I myself have spent over 5 figures on courses and networking masterminds last year alone. And I either have learned something that was really useful and leveled up my business, or I've met someone who has been an incredible contact to have and has helped me out. And back in the day, I used to have absolutely no problem spending more money on experience or a nicer holiday. But when it came to spending money on my own education, I all of a sudden became really frugal, thinking that everything is a scam. And it's only when I let go of that fear that I realized how much I've been missing out on and how much there is more for me to learn in the online business space. Okay, so this next one I have learned and implemented after reading a very good book on launches. And if you have the time, please read Launch by Jeff Walker. It speaks about scarcity and time-based offers. So after reading it, I decided to implement it and see how it works for myself. So me and my business partner decided to do a group coaching sessions, and we can only take on 10 new students. Bear in mind I was making around 5K per month back then, and if all of the seats sold out at the time at $999 a piece, I would have doubled my revenue for that month. Now, when I launched it, I gave it 7 days for people to sign up, and guess what happened? Absolutely nothing for the first 5 days. Not one person signed up. And it started actually to get quite embarrassing because I thought to myself, well, what do I do if nobody signs up? Or even worse, if only like a couple of people sign up? Then what, I just have a group coaching session with 2 people each month? How weird would that be? Now, 24 hours before the offer closed, 2 people decided to join. That was 2K through the door, good, but I was expecting a bit more. 12 hours later, another 2 people decided to join up, and I guess things were starting to look a little bit better. And then matter of fact, a few hours later, another 3 sales came in, like literally 10 minutes apart. Now at 7, it kind of started to look like a solid group. And then on the last 90 minutes, the rest of the 3 seats got sold out completely. So I guess what Jeff said in his book was actually true. Time-based offers really push people to make a decision. Try it out on your business. It may just be the missing piece that converts all of those people who are just on the fence at the moment to whether or not to join up. And at last we have webinars, and for me, these were really useful at the start of 2024 because for the first time ever, people were actually able to connect with me on a whole new level. See, what happens in most cases with content creators are really quite hard to reach. We make videos that are usually scripted, we post them online and then just move on. But with webinars, we get a chance to speak to our audience directly, which makes us come across a lot more authentic and just trustworthy. And this is exactly why webinars worked really well for me, because I was able to answer all of those burning questions that a lot of my audience had. And by providing so much value, I was actually able to show that I knew exactly what I was talking about, and if they needed help with their Amazon FBA business, I was the best person for the job. Now, with all of that said, all of these tactics are great, but if you don't have the right sales funnel in place, how effective is your business really? Is it really even a business or just, let's be honest, a well-paid job? So make sure to watch this next video here where I go into detail about sales funnels, how they work, and which one is going to be best for you and your business.